orbit. Yeah, the Van Allen belt. And that's exactly the same thing that the NASA scientist had said that I had talked to, who, by the way, was a Christian, who had to leave NASA because they were all scientists or Satanists, and he had been involved with that and got out of it, became a born-again Christian, got out of NASA, and had a good conversation with him several years ago, and that was one of the things he had revealed to me, was that we can't leave Earth's orbit. We're confined by it. Another thing he had told me about the space station, he goes, well, how many do you think we have? And I said, well, we have the ISS, the International Space Station. He said, we have 22 space stations. 22 space stations, and all of them except the one are classified and off limits. So no one's even allowed near them. But he did tell me that what he did think was going on at the other 21 space stations was crossbreeding experiments. Because they're so hideous, that they're keeping it completely off the Earth. They're creating their own animals, their own beings. That's also where they've been cloning people, cloning this automaton army. Satan's like last line of defense when he comes to Earth. To keep control of the Earth, he has these automatons. They're also called robotoids. These humanoid-look beings, but they're not really human. They don't have souls. Something like a clone. That's something that just a demon would possess, because clones don't have souls. And so that's what they're doing in these space stations. They're doing all kinds of experimentation on humans and animals, and also doing a lot of crossbreeding and things like that. So they're totally classified that out of 22 space stations, at least 20 of them are completely off limits. There's one that some humans with a certain rank and classification can go to. He'd never been there. There hasn't been the ISS either. But the only one you'll ever hear about is the ISS, the joint Russian and American space station. Springmeyer said, this is from a listener, I'm listening to your show now. Springmeyer said George Lucas was a CIA operative. I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, he just had incredible information. When I first saw Darth Vader, I was only, I think 9 years old when that came out. Might be showing my age here. When Star Wars first came out and I saw that Darth Vader, I was just floored. I just wanted to fall out of my seat. Maybe I was about 12. Yeah, somebody's shooting me a year. I'm not going to just give up the info. But this Darth Vader is the exact replica of Satan's generals that I have seen with my own eyes. They're called gatekeepers. And the taller the demonic being, the higher classification in Satan's kingdom. I'm not talking about the humanoid aliens, the Anunnakis, because those are the humanoid aliens that are part of Satan's kingdom. I'm talking about the demonic part, the demonic realm. And Darth Vader is the exact same thing as what they call gatekeepers in hell. They're gatekeepers. They're Satan's generals. They're very tall. They're like 12 foot tall. They'll carry like 7-foot spears with them. And some of you are thinking, well, have you seen one? Well, I used to have this thing sitting at the end of my bed when I was a child. It was sent by Satan. It had been sent by Satan to kill me when I was born. And so I would see this thing all the time as a child, and I would just hide under my blankets. And it wasn't until later I would finally learn what the thing was, why it was sent, what its mission was, and went to battle against it and got rid of it. But I'll tell you, that just floored me to see that somebody else had him as a main character in the movie. This gatekeeper, they're called, some people call them phantoms. There's different classes of phantoms ranging from like 2 and 3 foot, just black spirit things, ghost-looking things like you saw in Ghost with Patrick Swayze. Those phantoms that come and carry you to hell when you die. And then there's just really big ones, 10, 12-foot beings, and they act on direct assignment from Satan. They're his generals. To other countries also have space stations. I want to say China does. I do believe China does. I don't know about anybody else. I do believe China does. They're much more technically advanced than anybody has any idea of. What energy allows these soulless beings to be alive? oh, they're just like these little grays. These little grays are just manufactured beings. They're making them in Dulce base. They just pump them out, and I have a picture on my website of a little gray at stage 2 and stage 3 in their maturity process from coming out of from creation to whenever they get done, I guess. Whenever they're ripe, and they're just beings. I don't know what causes what, I'm not sure they have a heart that pumps, that beats. It's a body that works like ours, but it's a body that demons can possess. Night of the Living Dead, all of these movies that are out, folks, that you see a lot of these vampire beings. These are people that died, and what happened is I've heard that they hang out at funeral parlors and graveyards and stuff like that. Is that when a human dies and they're gone, then a demon will jump into that body and bring it back to life. And so, in the end days, when we have all of these Night of the Living Dead scenarios going on, all these dead people walking around, animated, looking like they're still alive, but they're demonic beings. That's because the human is long gone, the soul is long gone, but the body is being animated and look like it's still alive because of the soul it possesses. The demon possesses it. Anyway, I'm not the expert. I just tell you what I know. Sometimes it's not enough, and sometimes it's not much at all. That sounds like the movie Spawn. I didn't see that one, but they've had several of them. You know what's amazing is that they always tell you what they're doing in fiction. So if you want to know what the government's up to, watch science fiction movies, no matter how grotesque they are, because none of their ideas are original. All of their ideas are taken off of stuff that they know. I mean, I got to the point several years ago I stopped believing fiction even existed, because everything that's fiction, actually a few years later they say it comes about, I believe it's already in existence. And so, take the time, to watch some of these movies that they're putting out. Especially that one that was out last year. Can't remember the name of it, but it was about this clone base that was in the desert out west. And they broke out of it, all these clones, wondering why they're being cloned. And here there were insurance policies. The corporations were cloning people, so like the rich people could pay, I don't know how much they were paying, $1 million or whatever, so that if their heart went bad or their kidneys went bad or something, they could go to their cloned being that looks just like them, has everything just like them, 98% carbon copy, and get their heart and get their kidneys or whatever to replace the one they had or whatever. Very interesting movie. Can't remember the name of it. Somebody shoot me the name real quick while I'm still on the air. The Island. That's what it's called, The Island. So you might want to see that because it gave some good info on possibilities of what they could be doing with the cloning, because we know they're cloning. They've been cloning for years. And so, possibility, using them as insurance policies. Even if that part is fake, even if they're really not using them as insurance policies, the fact that they're cloning and they have a base underneath the ground, so that part is true. Because what they'll do is they'll put in about 50% truth and they'll throw in a storyline to interest people. And so some of it's fake, just a storyline to bring a little bit of dramatics. But then they do reveal real info. Especially about the holographics that was interesting on the island. The whole thing with holographics and how they fooled these people that were living under the earth. And they told them they were going onto an island. They could see the water. They looked like they were going to an island. They lived on one themselves. I mean, it was all, all these holographic machines had deceived them all. And